about the specific thing you did recently, about the invisible effect it produced in dimensions you cannot see with your physical eyes, genuinely stopped me. So if you have ever felt like your quiet choices went unnoticed, like your invisible battles earned you nothing, like the grace you offered when you had every right to offer something far darker, simply disappeared into the air without record. Stay with me, because none of it disappeared. None of it went unrecorded. And what happened as a result of who you chose to be is so much larger than you have been allowed to understand until right now. If this already resonates somewhere deep in your chest, go ahead and drop a comment below. It does not have to be long. Just let it be real. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do it now and turn on your notifications. Because what we are building here is a community of people who are finally ready to understand the full spiritual weight of the choices they have been making. Let me give you the foundation that makes everything else in this message make sense. In the celestial realms, the observation of human souls is constant and comprehensive. Every guardian angel assigned to every chosen one maintains a continuous record, not just of what that soul does outwardly, but of what they choose internally, in the invisible space between receiving pain and deciding how to respond to it. Most of what gets recorded falls into predictable territory. Someone is hurt and responds with bitterness. Someone is betrayed and responds with the desire for revenge. Someone is carrying a weight that feels impossible and eventually sets it down by walking away. These patterns are ancient. They are understandable. They are human, and they do not require escalation. They are handled at the level of the guardian angel, addressed, worked with, and guided forward without drawing wider celestial attention. But there is a category of response that operates differently. It is rare enough that most guardian angels encounter it only a handful of times across the entirety of a soul's earthly journey. It is the kind of response that, when it occurs, automatically flags the case for higher review. It is called a transcendent response, and it happens when a human being, while actively experiencing genuine pain, while being hurt by something real and not imagined, while standing in the middle of a situation that would have justified a completely different reaction, chooses to respond with grace instead of what they were owed, not because they were numb to the pain, not because they lacked the power to respond differently, but because something in the deepest composition of who they are refused to let circumstances decide their character. You produced a transcendent response recently. You may not have labeled it that way. You may have simply felt it as a moment where you made a quiet choice that no one else witnessed, a moment where you could have said the thing that would have devastated someone but didn't, or where you could have walked away without explanation and everyone would have understood. But you stayed anyway. Or where you swallowed something that felt like fire and chose silence and dignity instead of the reaction that was practically being demanded of you. You may have even wondered afterward if any of it mattered, if restraint was the right choice, if your grace was being mistaken for weakness. I need you to hear this clearly. It was not weakness. It was extraordinary. And it mattered in ways that your human eyes are not equipped to see without assistance. Like this video, if you have ever made a quiet choice like that one and felt completely alone in it, because you were not alone, you have never been alone in those moments. And what happened next, in the celestial record being kept on your behalf, is going to change the way you carry every single one of them. When your guardian angel documented that response, something happened that does not happen often. Instead of filing the record and continuing forward in the standard manner, your angel flagged your case. The flag triggered an automatic review request at a higher level than guardian angels typically operate. The note attached to your case when it was elevated contained a phrase that immediately changed how your file was received. The note said that this soul demonstrated transcendent grace under active spiritual attack. That phrase is significant. It is not language used for ordinary patience or common resilience. It is language reserved for souls whose responses during genuine suffering reveal a spiritual composition that transcends the expected range of human behavior. It reached Archangel Michael. Now, I want you to sit with what I am about to say and let it fully land. Archangel Michael is not a peripheral figure in the celestial order. He is the commander of angelic armies, the warrior whose victories span dimensions that have no human equivalent. His attention is required across matters of cosmic significance at any given moment, and the volume of those matters does not pause or relent. For your case to rise to his review is not routine. It is the celestial equivalent of a single letter arriving on the desk of someone responsible for the movements of entire civilizations, and that person stopping, setting everything else aside, and reading every word. Michael did not glance at your case. He reviewed your entire recent history, every circumstance you navigated, every moment of pressure where you had a choice that no one else could see, every internal battle where you fought yourself into a better response than your pain was demanding. And when he finished, he did not simply log his review and return to other assignments. He requested an extended discussion of your case. He requested that additional resources be considered for your path. He requested that your classification in the celestial record be updated to reflect what you had demonstrated. Go ahead and drop 777 in the comments right now if you feel in your spirit that something has been shifting in you lately, like you are standing at the edge of a version of yourself you have not fully stepped into yet. I see those comments, and they matter more than you know. Let me tell you about the classification system, because understanding it is part of understanding what happened when your case was reviewed. Every soul that reaches Archangel level review is classified, given a designation that defines their core spiritual identity and follows them forward through everything that comes next. Most souls are never classified at this level because most cases never rise that far. Yours did. And the classification you received is not generic. It was written specifically for what you demonstrated, for what your actual choices under actual pressure revealed about the actual composition of your soul. Your classification is this: demonstrated carrier of impossible grace. Demonstrated means your status is not based on potential or promise. It is based on what you already did, on who you already were in the middle of difficulty, before any reward arrived, before any recognition came, before anyone else was watching. You did not earn this by surviving. Survival alone is common. You earned it by choosing, consciously or not, to remain yourself when everything around you was designed to reshape you into something lesser. It cannot be taken from you because it is not a prediction. It is a record. Carrier means that what lives in you does not stay contained to you. What you demonstrated was not a one-time performance. It was a revelation of something permanently woven into your spiritual makeup, something that will express itself through your presence, your words, your proximity to others. The people who are positioned to receive what you carry have not yet arrived, but they are coming. And when grace is desperately needed in the rooms of your life, you will not have to manufacture it. It will simply flow from who you are. Impossible grace refers specifically to the kind of grace that has no logical explanation given the circumstances in which it appears. Not the patience of someone who has never been genuinely wronged, but the grace that survives real betrayal, real injustice, real loss, and still refuses to become those things. The kind that makes even celestial observers pause. That is the grace that caught divine attention. That is what defines your classification and reshapes how everything in your life will be handled from this point forward. If you have been reading or listening to this and feeling something stir in you, something that goes beyond intellectual agreement into a recognition that lands like a truth you already knew but needed to hear out loud, subscribe to this channel right now. What we are doing here is not casual spiritual entertainment. It is a specific work for specific souls who are ready to understand the full scope of what they are carrying and where they are being taken. Now, let me tell you what this classification means practically, because a title without consequence is just a title. When a soul is classified at the archangel level, 3 things shift in how their case is handled going forward. The first shift is in how resources are allocated. Your prayers, your needs, the requests that rise from the deepest places of your spirit, they now move through a different process. They are treated with the priority that comes with your demonstrated classification. This does not mean instant results in every case. It means your situation is never at the bottom of anything. Heaven invests most deeply in souls who have already proven trustworthy with what they were given. And you have demonstrated exactly that. The second shift is in the nature of your assignments. What is about to arrive in your life will be larger than what you have faced before. Not because you are being punished, but because you have been classified as someone capable of handling circumstances in a way that serves not only your own growth, but the transformation of everyone connected to what you carry. You are being trusted with situations that desperately need impossible grace, because impossible grace is what you have proven you possess. The third shift is in how you are accompanied. When heaven takes special interest in a soul at this level, that soul begins to experience a quality of spiritual presence that they may not be able to name, but will absolutely feel. A steadiness under pressure that surprises even you. A quiet knowing that arrives in moments of confusion, a sense of being held in the middle of what should be unbearable. You may already be feeling some of this. That is not coincidence. That is the direct result of what your choices set in motion. Share this message with someone right now. Someone who has been choosing grace in silence. Someone who has been doing the right thing without recognition. Someone who needs to know that their invisible choices are not invisible to the one who matters most. There is one more thing that happened at the conclusion of Michael's review. Something added to your record that I have been waiting to share until you had all the context needed to receive it fully. This does not happen in every review. It is reserved for cases that genuinely impacted the celestial observers assigned to them. Cases that demonstrated something worth preserving as a reference for how chosen ones are capable of operating when they are fully aligned with their deepest nature. Your case received this note, and what it says is meant directly for you. It says this to the soul receiving this message. What you chose to do with your pain was not required of you. The grace you offered when you had earned something far darker was not demanded. It was freely given. And in being freely given from a place of genuine suffering, it revealed something about the architecture of who you are that we had not yet fully seen. You expanded what we understand to be possible for a human soul in physical form. You reminded us that the limitations we sometimes expect to find in humanity are not inherent to human design, but are choices, and that a soul who chooses differently under pressure is choosing to operate at a frequency that changes the atmosphere around them. Your file has been marked, not for correction, but for attention. Not because you need to be fixed, but because your progress is a case study in what chosen ones are capable of when they refuse to let circumstances define them. Walk forward with this understanding. Everything coming toward you has been filtered through the recognition of what you have already proven yourself to be. You made heaven pause, and heaven does not pause often. This message found you at the exact moment it was meant to find you, not by accident, not by the random workings of an algorithm that happened to put something in your feed,